Hey, welcome to the United We Scan podcast. Just a quick disclaimer here that any of the views and opinions expressed by the individuals are not that of the USPS or the NRLCA. This podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and if you are in need of any assistance, please contact your designated union representative. Thank you.
Daily average, but it's not. And then the standard minutes, it says complex, but it's basically your drive speed matrix to your park point for your vehicle fuel up plus the actual standard for the vehicle fuel up.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why.
My fuel went from $7.59 a year ago to $7.99 now.
Yeah, but then like if you look on the A, it's like it'll have your mileage correct from based off of LTM.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know why it like populates all Bizarro in that square.
Yeah,
I
my
don't know
fuel
if it's based off of like
is
where
at
you the distance your vehicle feel what?
my fuel is at 4.25, which is about what it's always been.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, your mileage didn't. Well, you have to drive to that new CBU that's on your route though, right?
Right, but that just
very-
happened, so that won't. Yeah, that won't be it.
No, that should be on. Did they map it?
Finally, this last time it got mapped.
That should be on there then.
But what I'm saying that it's not. It was maybe a month.
That still should be on there.
Route coverage, curb box 80%, other box 80%, sidewalk box 80%, CBU box 68.
You have
Central
sidewalk
68.
boxes?
Yeah.
Not that I'm aware of.
You have one that you hop
which one is.
for?
Not that I'm aware of.
Do you get out for
Not that I
your
can think of.
Oh, Josh, you got to go through your edit book and make sure you'll find it there because one of your boxes is labeled sidewalk in there.
Isn't that worth more money anyway?
Yeah, but it's dismount distances that you gotta have with those.
Do they have compass? Is that?
It could be compass.
Huh.
I don't know.
I don't know.
That or the.
Oh, you're out.
But compass should be in other.
Yeah, but I don't know. Your managers are dum-dums, so you need to go through your edit book and see where the fuck it's at. Sorry. Pardon my French. You need to go through your edit book and find out where the fuck it's at.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, the funny thing is, sidewalk is listed for service time is 0.
So it says
service time daily minutes 0.00.
Oh, so you have none there.
Other boxes is 0.60. Right, but the fact that it has a factor of 80%.
Oh, because it's going to be the same as your
curbside.
As your regular, your curbside. It just populates there automatically.
Yeah.
But why do you only have
70%? So
why do you only have 0.6 of a box for your other? That's compass, right?
It'd be either compass and or the postal inspectors.
So you should have 2.
Yep.
Hell, man. Hell. I'm finding your time that's missing. I didn't even get a look at yours yet. Jeez.
Talking about looking at.
Welcome back, everybody. I think we're on episode 132. And tonight, I know initially we were going to go over Fair Labor Standards Act, but we decided to change that up and go over 4241As and Ms because, well, they came out yesterday for most. I know there are many that won't get them until tomorrow. Thank you to their management. But on that note, that's what we're covering tonight. How was your week, Josh?
Oh, my week was just ducky. I got a call from a coworker Thursday afternoon to say, hey, just to give you a heads up, they decided to reassign vehicles from one another, and your route doesn't have one assigned to it now. So Friday, when I came in and I said I need my vehicle key, the supervisor mumbled something about it being reassigned, and 3.5 hours after I finished pulling down and was ready to load, another carrier finally came back so I could start delivering. Saturday, as I started the stopwatch to start the timer for the waiting, 45 seconds later, they hand me keys to a vehicle, and I get in it, and I move it over to close to my parking spot, and I'm like, these brakes seem a little loose, And then after I get it fully loaded, I hop in, I start it, and giving it a minute to warm up, it stalls out. So I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not taking this one. Drive it across the parking lot to the parking space right across the lot, so I'm not in someone else's spot. And I'm slamming the brakes, and it's like, oh, you want to stop. So I just wrote that up and continued timing for about another hour, hour and a half till someone came back. So, and I talked to my DR on Saturday about that, and he says, well, according to the list that district gave him of what routes are assigned what vehicles, the truck they took away from me is not my route. So that grievance has been filed, and hopefully tomorrow I'll have a vehicle without having to wait forever. Meow, how was your week?
My week was kind of crappy too. I've been sick, so I'm still kind of getting over it. But yeah, I've had my voice was off and on. My mom was even like, "You sound like crap." But yeah, I kind of just trucked through and worked. I know that's unfortunate, but I was mostly to myself. Um, Yesterday was a little chaotic, probably the most chaotic. Well, actually, this week we had a crap ton of box holders. We had Valpaks and what was it? What is it, like the ballot books, and then yesterday we had what was it? I had a box holder, like an EDDM, Every Door Direct Mail, and Advos. So that wasn't fun. And then on top of that, I normally try and take the day of us getting our evaluations off because I get just bombarded. Because it's kind of like my Super Bowl a little bit. I actually really like nerd out looking at everybody's evaluations. So I was doing that in between everything going on. But yeah, how was your week, Kristen?
Oh, it was a week. I'm still not used to these 2 weeks now in of Ruby working third shift and me being on little man duty all night long. So yeah, when he doesn't want to go to bed by 10:30, 11 o'clock, and Grandma's like, "No, it's bedtime. Sesame Street gets turned off. We're going to sleep." So yeah, I mean, tired. That's what I've been, is just tired. But other than that, I powered through it. I did have yesterday off, but I did stop into the office and grab my 4241 A&Ms. And yeah, so other than that, I've got 5 days left to go before I take off on an
Abandon
airplane
us?
and flee the country for a week.
Woohoo!
Yeah. So yeah, I've just been kind of between little man duty and work and trying to get everything around for the trip. Yeah, I don't know which way is up half the time lately. But other than that, it hasn't been too bad. I didn't mind seeing my route. I did get the hour back that I lost at springtime, which makes me happy. Barely got it back by 3 minutes. So we'll get into that. And yeah, so I'm going to turn it over to you, Meow, on where to start on this.
Woohoo!
I know, because you all
So
nerd out over it, and right now
I'm
my
just
eyes are
yeah.
going crossed.
Oh, so as we've kind of touched on already, yesterday, you should have been able to get your 4241A and M. So it's your new route evaluation that'll go into effect on what day was it? October 4th.
Yeah,
I
this
keep
coming
mixing it up with the
Saturday.
5th. This coming Saturday, and it is based upon just basic understanding is that it's the 52-week average of your route plus the mini mail survey average from that 2-week mini mail survey conglomerated into those sheets of paper. So for purposes of this, though, um, management should have printed what's called the 4241A, and it is basically a squared document that is sectioned by it'll have up on the top, it'll have your post office, your state, the zip code, and the station or your office. In the next square, it'll have your finance number, and in the square after that, it'll have the effective date, which is October 4th. And then in the it'll have the volume data range, and it'll always say typically the date range is always the it's like a year ago, and then it will end typically on the last day of the mini mail survey. So for purposes of this, the date range is 9/6/2024 to 9/5/2025. And then on the far top right corner, it'll say the date of mapping, and that'll be the last time that your DPM and LTM were confirmed. You'll also know that you're looking at this form because on the bottom left-hand side, it'll say PS Form 4241A, and then it'll give that version of the form. And this version of the form existed after March of 2024. Because in the old mail count system, it was the 4241A looked a lot different.
Mhm.
But I know a lot of people are like deer in the headlights looking at this. It's a lot of data for you to kind of look through. But first place to start is you should also have asked management to print you what's called the 4241M. Now, the 4241A is the weekly summary, and the M is your like date, not like it is your daily averages of what compiled into the A. So there is different squares that are all existent on the 4241A, and there is multiple lines on the 4241M, and the 4241M is 3 pages, and each of the pages coincides with the 3 different sections on the A. Now, another pro tip for when you're going through all this data and looking through all of this is when you're doing your mapping every month and verifying it, because you should be, there is on the LTM at the end of when you've confirmed it, there is a RX data summary page that will tell you all of the components of like your regular boxes, your centralized boxes, your daily dismounts, your collection compartments. If you have like a high volume lock pouch or low volume lock pouch, centralized units and the CBU units, the dismount distance, your traffic control points, all of that fun jazz. And it is good just to have that with you when you're going through this paperwork. The other thing you also should kind of get in the habit of doing is making sure each route's supposed to have what's called the route book per the PO 603, and along with the PO 603 that's supposed to be at your case, your 4241A most recent and the past ones should all be in a binder inside of your case so that you have reference points to look back at. When management is printing the 4241A, it will print out 3 copies. And one of the copies on the bottom right side of it will say postmaster. The second one will say carrier. And then the other one will say route book. Now, the carrier one will it'll have the assigned carrier. If it's an aux route, it typically will have that designation, the sub that's on there. But most of the time it'll say your regular, it'll give like your personal information all along that bottom part. But the carrier route book one won't have all of that. And it'll have like your guarantee salary, and all that fun jazz. But before I kind of get into the nitty gritty here, if you go onto the union website And on the front page, it says like welcome, member resources, RX resources, and RX training. If you go to the tab that says RX training, there is a 4241A and M cheat sheet that exists. And oh, where did it go? And it says RX 4241A cheat sheet. And on there, it will give you the lines of the 4241M and page number that coincide with those squares on the A. Sorry. I know I'm like trying to think of it. Okay. Do you want me to go through? So we can go about this a couple different ways. We could go about it with, I can go through the A first and which lines coincide on it, or I can go through and just go through the M, and I can give like a little bit more of an explanation of what each line on the M is and where it came from. What would you prefer?
Let's go through the M and do
Okay.
that, and then we'll come back to the A and then go over where they coincide.
Okay. So on page 1 of the 4241M, on the top it will also say on the bottom left hand side it'll say PS form 4241M, and then the date of when that form type was created, which was March of 2024. Up on the top it'll say your delivery unit, finance number, route number, and then the carrier assigned. And then in the next square it'll say vehicle type, government, bundle type. Now the bundle type, mostly everybody is a 2-bundle system. That means that you get DPS and you get raw mail. 3-bundle would have been like if you had FSS, but nobody has FSS anymore. And 1-bundle would be if you only get only get raw mail, no DPS. And then underneath that, it'll say
raw
withdraw.
or working. Sorry,
What was
I'm going to say raw or working, depending on where you are and how you verb it.
How you phrase it. Yeah. None of the letter mail comes on automation, really. And then in the next square over, it'll say regular box coverage, and there'll be a percentage. And then underneath of that, it'll say centralized box coverage. And then in the farther corner, it'll say evaluation effective date, and then it'll actually give you the pay period too. So it's October 4th, 2025, but pay period 22 of 2025. And then it'll say the mapping date, and then it'll say the volume data range, which is 9/6/2024 to 9/5/2025. Sorry, I didn't want to cough. Okay, so first line on page 1, it says it's category drive, and it'll say drive route length. And then it'll say it'll say data description, and then it'll say current route, or it'll say daily average. And then the next square over says standard minutes, and then the next line it'll say bundle type, and then route coverage, and then service time. Now the service time is, sorry, let me back up here. So the daily average will be, or current route will be like what your actual averages for the year. And then the standard minutes will be what the engineers had determined the standards are for that type of service or item. And then bundle type, like I said earlier, there's only a couple things that'll show the bundle type. And like I said, most of us are 2-bundle. 1-bundle is if you don't get DPS letters. And then the route coverage, it's only on a couple squares there. So route coverage is based upon how many of your addresses on your route, the GPS, informed delivery, and you entering a full coverage in. That's what that's based off of. And then the service time is all of that combined to equal how much your route is credited for that task. So line 1 is drive, and it says drive length or route length. And that is based upon your DPM and LTM mileage. Now, I know there's some routes that dispute that, and there is people who have had an official remeasurement. I'm not going to get into that, but I know that that's a point of contention. The standard minutes, it'll say DSM, and DSM stands for Drive Speed Matrix. And we'll get into that in a little bit here too. So you will take the daily average. So like my route's 32.6 miles plus times the drive speed matrix. And then you'll get the service time for daily minutes. So then like my route has 99.96 minutes. Line 2 is curbside boxes. Now these are the boxes that you just service out the window. And then you got the standard there. And then what'll happen is because if you're a 1 or a 2 bundle, the standard minutes will change there because you get a different type of, I think you get less credit if you're a 1 bundle system. But that's why it's indicated there. And then that, so you times the amount of addresses you have that are active, times it by the standard minutes for the standard, and then you only get the route coverage percentage of that amount. Does that make sense? Am I speaking gibberish?
That does make sense.
Okay. I know that's kind of so my route, for instance, I have like a half and half. So my percentage, I only get 86% of curbside, which is, I know, better than some, but yeah, there's that, and then that will equal how much. Yeah. So, and then underneath of that is other boxes. Now, other boxes are when you indicate inside of your edit book, there'll be like hardships, or if you have to dismount to go into a business, and you're not servicing it like normal. So hence why it's other. And so in your edit book, it would be indicated as other. And then the next one is sidewalk box. So the sidewalk box are kind of more like your city routes. I know of only like one route here in my state that has that. Like, and then all along the other side of it too, it will also say the percentage, the route coverage percentage. And the route coverage percentage for the curb, other, and sidewalk are all based upon your regular box types. So the coverage for those 3 will typically be they should be the same based upon the MOU that was signed in like 2023, end of 2023, I want to say. And then underneath of that is CBU boxes. Now these are your key boxes, and Dada's here. Okay. And then underneath of that, so CBU boxes are your key boxes. And then the percentage for the route coverage for CBU and central will be the same. So centralized boxes are your wall mounted boxes that, like you go, like, it's just all in one wall. We have like a trailer park that you walk into a room and they're all there.
Yeah, your CBU units are the standalone, and then your centralized boxes are mounted in a wall or a building, however they want to do. I know I've had my old office, we had a route that had a building. We had to grab the key to unlock it, and then you'd walk in, and that's where you could open all the back of the boxes, but it was one big building. They were all mounted inside the wall. It was great because we were covered and protected from the weather, and then all the customers accessed it from outside.
Yeah, those are the good ones.
I know.
So then after those lines above will all have that route coverage percentage, and I know a lot of people get upset with it. I personally get upset with it. I do not like the route coverage, but that's what it is. So there is that. And then underneath of that, it'll say dismount and prep for CBU. Now, this number that's going to be here is going to be based upon how many times or how many stops you have that are CBU deliveries. And then it just has the standards. It doesn't have the route coverage percentage, and then you'll have the service time on the other side. Underneath of that is dismount and prep for centralized delivery. So I actually have 2 different ones. So mine just says 2. And centralized delivery, you actually get a little bit more time to dismount and prep, because I think the engineers thought that you might be servicing like 200 deliveries. You just never know. Like we have 1 key turn maybe for like this whole thing, but and then underneath of that is dismount and prep for other. Again, those ones are your hardships, your businesses that you have to walk into. And then underneath of that is dismount and prep for sidewalk delivery. So then underneath of, and again, the determination for those is determined by what you put in your edit book. And if something looks amiss there, the first place you're going to want to look is what it says in your edit book. So then underneath of that, it says collection compartment CBU, and then it says collection compartment central. Now, the collection compartments that are on here are based upon how many you and management entered into the DPM mapping. And same thing with centralized. And the standard for both of those are the same. Now, underneath of those 2, it says unit time CBU, and that'll be based upon your DPM groupings that you do when you're doing the mapping. So most of them, I shouldn't say most of them. There's some that are 12, there's some that are 8, there's some that, have 16.
20.
So whenever you're out there, you can kind of mentally count it in your head. But if you also have that LTM printout sheet, you can compare, and that I did my mapping correctly. I had the groupings correct on there, and so it should be reflective on this evaluation too. Hence why I mentioned it earlier. But so then underneath of that one, so if you didn't group your CBUs correctly, that number there will be off. Now, unit time for what was that, Kristen?
I said, yeah, because that unit time for CBUs should be the amount, how many key turns you have. So for each
Yes.
each actual unit. Excuse me.
And then underneath of that is unit time central. And because of the time standard for the centralized, there's still some confusion, because you would think it'd be the same as the CBU where you get each key turn. But I know that there's some centralized units where you have multiple ones. But that's another issue. So, but that would also be based upon that grouping that you have on the mapping. Creep time. Now, creep time is based upon your boxes that you have grouped within 5 feet of each other on the DPM mapping, or even if the ones that are all on the same post, those sorts of things. And then service blue box, blue collection points. This is if you have one of the USPS blue boxes and you had plotted it. I don't know. There's in my city. I think you have one, Josh.
I have one, and in the DPM now, within the last 2 to 3 months, they changed it where it'll throw an error where you have to put the delivery address before after you do the collection box. And also with that, if you do have a blue collection box, if it like mine has the e-arrow lock on it where I need to use my scanner to pair it to the lock in there or I won't be able to open it, there is no time as far as I know as of yet. So that would be a miscellaneous time during the survey, which will probably only be 15 to 30 seconds a day.
Yeah, and I know not every single one of the blue boxes have those yet, but we can get into that when we get to the miscellaneous time. And then underneath of that, it says service inter unit mail low volume, and then service inter unit mail high volume. Excuse me. And those 2 will be your like lock pouch stops that you plotted also inside of DPM, the mapping.
Mm-hmm.
If you have those, and you take the little icon and it drops to those. You drop it to that location, and so there's that one, and then dismount distance, daily distance. Now the footage that'll be there will be based upon all of the combined footage from all of your dismount deliveries that were, and it'll also again be in DPM mapping. And you can also compare it again to that dismount sheet, the LTM printout. Then underneath of that is we're going to get into, it's called TCPs, or traffic control points. So it'll be stop signs, and that'll be based upon your LTM plotted stop signs in the mapping. And then yield signs, again, based upon the LTM mapping. Traffic signals are based upon LTM mapping. School crossings based upon LTM mapping. Railroad crossing based upon LTM mapping. Gated access will also be based upon where you plotted that in the LTM mapping. And then underneath of that, it'll say fuel vehicle credit. Now, I know it says daily average, but I don't know why the number in there. That's one of my mysteries. That's one of the things I do not know. But it has like some weird daily average number there. But then in the standard minutes, it'll say complex. And I one time went through, because I was so annoyed with all the ones that said complex or didn't give us a full description. But the complex is that it's based upon your drive speed matrix to your vehicle fuel up spot. And granted, also, this is only for government vehicles. So if you have a POV, you will not have credit here. But it'll say it's your drive speed matrix plus the standard for the vehicle fuel up. And the drive speed matrix is to the point where you plotted your vehicle fuel up spot in DPM mapping. And that's page 1. Oh, and then on the bottom of that, it'll actually say daily total time, route plus street plus office volume. And then it'll say standards, hours, and minutes. And most of this first page, all of this first page is all based upon your mapping. So if there's some errors on this page, most likely it's something wrong in your mapping. So that's page 1. Page 2. All right, hold on 1 second. Let me take a drink of water.
Time's up.
Because you want to hear me drinking water. Right?
Oh yeah.
You said give you a second. I gave you a second.
1 second. All right. So page 2 is going to be mostly your office processing. And some of it will be, and then, page 3 is then your like delivery on the street time stuff. But so page 2, on the top, it says gather random mail for transport to case. And then typically it'll just say 1 because you only do that once a day. And then you have a standard for it. If you're not a withdrawal office, you won't have credit here. And then underneath of it, it says random letters, case random letters. Now, the cased random letters are based upon your average from the mini mail survey. And then it is also imported from the average of your NLM or cased letters on the radar and end of run reports. And then, in case you're wondering how they got that total number. So then random flats, case random flats is based upon the mini mail survey data, and then it is also based upon your ASFM 100 flats that you get from the radar report and then the end of run reports. Now, CR flats, it says CR flats, case carrier route flats, that is based upon your bundled flats. And typically those bundles, it's supposed to be, now it's supposed to be the carrier routed flats with like ECR lot, and WSH should be there, but that's where it should be. Underneath of that is, supposedly. WSS letters is case WSS letters. Now, the average that'll be in here is based upon the way that it came up with this number is how many times you entered into the scanner that you had a WSS letter full coverage, and it would be the pieces for, like, let's say you had 500 deliveries on your route, and so you had five, like, let's say you did it, what, let's do some fun math for a second. Rough estimate here. All right, so we had like 500 letters, or you have 500 deliveries on your route, and you had 12 of them for the whole year. So that's 6,000 letters, and we're going to divide that by what, 302, I think, is how many days are in this one. So you would get an average of 19.86 every day. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Or you could divide by 52 and you get 115.38 a week of WSS letters. Now, same thing with case WSS flats. That number would be based upon you entering that WSS flats WSS full coverage into the scanner. Case box holder letters, that will be based upon you entering into the scanner box holder letters box holder. And same goes for case box holder flats. It'll be based upon you entering those in the scanner. So those 4 right there, you're very much into control of. And if they weren't entered in at all, then you won't have any credit there for those, which is concerning. I don't think I've ever met a route or I've never met a route that never got a box holder or a WSS mailer, you know?
Yeah, I mean, our 2 other zip codes rarely get them, but they do get them.
Yeah, they're still existent.
It's just
So
nowhere near as often as the main zip code.
the other ones do.
Yep.
So then underneath of that, it'll say DPS letters. Gather DPS letters for transport to case. And it'll mine says 4. Now the determination for that number is based upon your DPS volume and how many pieces of DPS that can fit into a tray. So it's thinking that I get about 4 trays of DPS a day.
Okay.
Then
Mine says 3, so that's about right.
Yeah. And I can't remember what in the comprehensive guide, it's like 4, I think it's 425 pieces per tray.
Yep. That's what they average.
Yeah. So that's what that number, how they came up with that number. DPS letters, locate and access DPS letter trays. So if you're a withdrawal office, you only have to do it once. So most of them will just say 1. And then case DPS letters. Now, if you are a route that has less than 400 pieces of DPS a day on average, there would be a number in there. And we have like a 12-hour little baby ox route, and they get less than 400 pieces a day, and every single day. And there's issues, I know, with some routes that get it every once in a while, and that's a whole nother story. But what were you going to say, Josh?
I would say the understanding I have, or from what I've been told, is that 400 pieces a day on average is based off of for the week. So that the 4 times 6 is 2,400. If you're less than 400 pieces for the week, it gives you, the system automatically gives the credit.
Yeah, but
which it should be daily.
Yeah, it should be daily. And I know if you're one of those people who get less than 400 pieces of DPS on average a day or pretty frequently, you should probably be contacting your steward if there's issues.
Yes.
Yeah, if there's an issue with it there. So then underneath of that, it says gather DPS flats for transport to case. That's an obsolete line, and nobody should have any credit there. And then same with locate and access DPS flat trays. So I won't go over that. And case DPS flats. Now, move trays to storage. Everybody just gets 1 credit for that. It's just like a built-in kind of standard that we all get. And then pull down. So pull down handle trays again is based upon how many your mail volume in total, based again upon that 425. I think it's a little bit less it's in the comprehensive guide, but mine again says 4. And then pull down
7.
handful. What were you saying?
I said mine's 7 for pull down handle case.
Oh, okay. Well, because you have all that raw mail.
Right.
So then underneath of that it says pull down handfuls, and they're basing it upon, I think it's either 3 or 4 addresses on average that you're pulling. And so there's a time standard built into there based upon how many deliveries you have. So like mine says 20.
Mine says 15.
So and
Mine's
then
9.
and then I think maybe it has the volume in it too. I'm not 100 that well I'll come back on retrace on that. And then underneath of that pull down compartments. So that one is based upon, that number is typically like your active deliveries divided in half.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah, that's exactly what that is.
Yeah.
According
And
to
then
my deliveries in my 40
yeah,
and
that's-
41A. Yeah.
That's about
and
right.
and then underneath of that it says position and remove rubber bands. So, which I think this is like my favorite standard that we get credit for. I always go, well, I got paid this much money to put rubber bands on mail last year. But that is again based upon that pull down handful.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like mine says I use 20 rubber bands a day.
Mine says 15, and I can tell you I use 2. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
I'll
Mine
take it
says
though.
39. I know I use a lot more than that.
yeah. Yeah. So, okay. So then underneath of that, it says it's parcels. Now gather parcels for transport to case. And this will be the additional carts over 1. So if you have more than 62 scans a day, you are getting this credit for you to walk and grab another hamper of parcels and bring it to your case to sort. Hence why it says standard minutes complex, because there's a time standard and there's footage based upon the office footage for you to go and grab it. So it's hence why you're only supposed to measure it one way round trip for that. So then underneath of this, a lot of people don't realize this. So parcels, organize large parcels for delivery. Now, the number that's going to be in here is kind of like in reverse order. So if you delivered a parcel to a front door, the system and RX is now going to think that you had to handle a large parcel. And so a lot of your front door deliveries are going to be there, but this is what's giving you the credit to either flag it or mark it on the parcel what it is. You're getting credit there. You don't need, that's why you really shouldn't be on load time, but there's that. But and so then underneath of that is organize small and medium parcels for delivery. Those ones are going to be where you delivered in reverse again. It's going to think it's a small or medium parcel if you delivered it in at mailbox or delivered it in at parcel locker. So that'll be the average of any of all those. Again, for you organizing them in the office. And then underneath of that is accountable mail signature item. So this is just you processing the accountable mail or the signature items. And that'll be based upon how many you delivered also. And that's just for you to write up the slip or however you process it in the office part of it. And then underneath of that, it's fixed accountable cage activities. If you, like you turning in your keys or having to get the accountable items, I think almost every route should have this. Unless I think every route does get that. So, and you usually just say 1.
Yep, mine says 1.
Yeah. And then the process carrier pickup forms is the slips that you get for going to pick up the you'll get a slip in the morning, but in order for you to get the credit in this category, you would have had to have told the scanner when you're out there delivering that the RXO scan, and then told it you have a pickup form. So again, it's kind of in that reverse order. This credit that's here is just for you to have like cased it in or put it organized it in a way for you to know. So then underneath of that is process customs due, and then that is also based upon that art. Well, it's based upon you entering that RX scan when you're delivering it or attempting to deliver it. And then underneath that, process COD, and same deal with that. Postage due, same deal with that. It's based upon you doing that RX scan in reverse, and that's you kind of like writing it up if you needed to, and all that. Markups, process markup bundles, is based upon your mail volume. Now, I mean, I know in the old mail count system they used to have it like each one was like its own grouping. Mine says 3.
So does
I've
mine.
got 4.
Yeah, and it's like that's your IAs, your UTFs, your UBM,
ANK,
ANK.
refused,
So
vacant.
yeah, and it's like a built-in standard based upon your mail volume total. Underneath of that is process PARS labels, the 3982's PARS labels, 3982, and that is now based upon a 52-week average. You can actually ask management for your forward list from September 6th of last year till September 5th of this year and count how many you had and then average it by 300 and I think it's 302 days or 52 weeks, 52, and that'll be your weekly average of them. Load vehicle. So load vehicle is your time that you hit start load vehicle from the time you were leaving your case until you brought the conveyance all the way back in or wherever you needed to put it. And then this is one of the time standards that you get what's called personal fatigue and delay. And I can't remember the exact percentage of what you get, but it is added to your load time because your load time is going to fluctuate every day based upon, maybe you went to a concert last night and you're loading a little slower today than you were on
Which
Tuesday.
Courtney, Mignao and I are quite familiar with that.
Yes. So that personal fatigue and delay will kind of comes in handy for that ebb and flow of how your load time your actual time fluctuates. So then inspect government vehicle. So if you're a government vehicle, you will have this credit. Mm-hmm. This is not to get confused with you with your footage to the vehicle. Then underneath of that is office walking, and that'll be based upon all of that footage that they measured for you inside of the office before the mini mail survey or during the mini mail survey. And if management should have provided you that sheet as just a reference point, and if you are an office that doesn't have to, if you're not a withdrawal office, or if you withdrawal office is all or nothing, even if you like have to go and grab a couple things. Some people don't have to grab DPS, so you might have your footage will ebb and flow there based upon that sheet of all those footage places. And then underneath of that, I'll say office walking DPS L.
I was going to say, in regards to the DPS, for withdrawal, even if they put it outside your case, you still have the walk distance from the case to grab it where they stack it outside, which would be 3 or 4 feet.
Yeah.
And putting it physically on your case ledge.
Yeah, it'll be the place from the location where you stand a case mail to wherever they had placed it. Unless it's like right on your case ledge or like right on that little desk there. So office walking DPSL is the walking distance specifically to your DPS letters. And then underneath of that is daily activity, scanner setup activities. So everybody should have that, and it's 1. Fun, weird little fact, I had this nightmare the other night that my scanner battery exploded. I don't know why. like stress post office dream. And then underneath of that is complete trip report, and that's your form 4240. So if anybody ever tries to tell you, well, you're entering it in the scanner, you don't need to enter it on no sheet anymore. You're getting credit for you to enter it on that sheet.
That
So
sheet is still king for timekeeping.
yes, and
Yep.
that
And-
standard shows it right there.
Yeah, and I can specifically say to that because I had a day last week. Like I said, the late nights with the little man. I thought I had hit start load. I come back, went to hit end load, noticed, wait a minute, I don't have end load on my scanner. Didn't think of it. Maybe thought I forgot about it. You know how that goes. And went and did what I had to do before going out to the route. Went to hit depart to route when it was time to hit depart to route, and wait a minute, what's this screen? So I luckily I had wrote my times down correctly because I did not hit depart to route, because when I first thought I had hit start load, I had hit depart to route, and when I thought I hit depart to route, I had hit return to DU.
Oh my.
And had to go up to the hamburger menu so I could run my route that day. So when I turned in my 4240, I said, "Oh, scanner rec scans are a little wonky. Please use these times."
Whoopsie.
That is why paper is king still currently.
Yes.
Yeah, and you notate a lot of different things on that trip sheet. So,
Absolutely. All
so
right.
then underneath of that is safety service talks, and that'll be based upon what management entered for those, because that's their RX scan that they should be entering into RMSS each time you have a safety service stand-up talk.
Yep.
And it's actual time there. And then underneath of that is end of shift office activities, and that'll be your some people refer to it as J time. It's your return to DU time until you either hit PM case or clock out. And that'll be like your daily average there. And that is and both of those two items are actual time. They don't have that personal fatigue and delay like the load time does. And that is page 2 of the 4241M. So page 3. Yeah.
Page 3 is your street volume.
Yes. Page 3 is now your street volume. Now, the top of it will say verify mail. So verify addresses, and that number that's there is going to be it says complex. Now, it is based upon all of your raw mail, your WSS mail, your DPS. This is where you actually get credit for your DPS to verify the addresses. It is everything combined into that one thing there, that'll be you just verifying the address and throwing it in the box. Underneath of that is reload medium parcels for delivery. Again, it says complex. It's based upon the parcel locker parcels that you've delivered, and then there's different time standards for that size of parcel to rearrange in your truck, and then it's based upon the amount that you have. That's why it's complex. Same with the large parcels. It's based upon how many parcels you delivered to the front door in reverse order here, and that number fluctuates, plus moving it around with the other mail. And then same goes for reload mail for delivery pieces. This is going to be your trays of mail, and it'll also, again, be based upon your mail volume, and it'll be based upon the factors of the other mail that you have in total on average for 52 weeks. Registered and cert accepted, collecting registered and certified mail. This will be based upon when you do that, the H scan on the main screen for prepaid acceptance out there on the street when you're scanning those. Money order applications, I don't know why we all get credit for this. We all get that 0.01 maybe. I think I've seen somebody get a little bit more. I don't know why we have it, so we don't do that.
Actually, I have never done one.
I've never done one either.
I've never done one either, but that's not to say you couldn't take the application, bring it back, get the money order fulfilled, and then deliver it the next day.
Yeah, and there's no RX scan for it, so it's like, it's bizarre. Then underneath of that is contact rural reach, and that's contact rural reach customers. So that'll be based upon if you were doing a rural reach out there on your route, whether or not they accepted it or not. You gave them the information, attempted to sell the post office, and then or the goods and services of the post office, not sell the post office, because the post office ain't for sale. But that's if you enter that RX scan for rural reach, you'll get credit there. And then same thing with sell stamp stock. That's based upon if you sold any stamps on your route, again, based upon your RX scan. Activity scan, perform simple one-step RX scans. Now that will be based upon like your, what's the good, clock in is one, or clock out is another.
Depart to route, start load.
Depart to route.
Yep.
And load, yep. And then underneath of that, perform prompted two-step scans. Now, those ones will be like your customer pickup one, your
Trip to
ones
door.
that door, entering the numbers. But it also, according to the RX guide, it's supposed to be your SPM scans are supposed to be into this as well, supposedly. So, then underneath of that is deliver parcels to mailbox. So those will be your small parcels that you're delivering in at mailbox, the average for the year. Underneath of that is deliver parcels to parcel locker. And I'm before I keep going on this too, if you're not telling the scanner where you're delivering your parcel in the correct location, you will not get credit where you're probably supposed to be getting credit. I hope that this isn't the case anymore, but I know the first RX evaluations, there was people I knew that were just hitting enter when they were delivering parcels to front doors, just because it was faster and more convenient. Now they shorted themselves in RX credit, but and the customer deserves to know where it's at, but it's complicated. Just tell the scanner where you're delivering it. So then underneath of that is deliver parcels to parcel locker. And if you have parcel lockers, I know we don't get credit for the parcel lockers like we used to in the old mail count system, but you are getting the CBU unit time. And then if you're telling it you're delivering parcels into parcel lockers, then you're going to see that credit reflected here. And then deliver parcels to door. This will be based upon your parcels that you deliver to either the front door, garage, what's the other? Front desk reception, left with individual at address. All of those where you plotted your front door scan, even if it is their garage, that's where you're going to be getting the credit to.
Yep. Pretty much
And then
anything but Interact mailbox or
parcel locker.
parcel locker.
Well, there's also delivered to neighbor. So
Yeah, that's the
that's
door scan
that's
as well.
standard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then there is out of route drive, and that's from the mailbox stop from the mail stops to the designated delivery. What is it? DDD, designated delivery
Drive stop where you park.
drive stop. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's
Do
why
park point.
Yep, that's why you pinpoint your park points when you do your mapping.
Yeah, and then if you look on it'll say like the footage, and then over on the other side, it'll be with your drive speed matrix.
Mm-hmm.
And then underneath of that is out of route walk, and that's from that park point stop to the front door. And then it'll be a footage, and that footage again is based upon where you plotted that front door point in DPM mapping. And then this one's my favorite one. Perform preliminary and concluding activities for trip to door. So I call this dishevelment time. So so like you gotta turn off the engine, pull the e-brake, curb the wheels, take the key out, open the door, grab the parcel, take the parcel, and then
Close
you
the
get the
door
footage
and lock it
Close
if
the door,
necessary.
lock
Yes.
it. Yeah, all the fun, and then when you get back, putting the key back in, putting your seatbelt back on. You know the dishevelment that happens sometimes, like refocus time, and that again will be based upon it'll be based upon the parcels to the door, but also like if you're delivering multiple parcels to the door, it might be slightly off from your parcels to door because like mine is like 20 and 24 because I deliver like multiple parcels to the same door. But so there's that. And then underneath of that is gather accountable mail / large parcel at vehicle. And it says variable, and that'll be based upon like your large parcels and you having to grab it. Again, part of that dishevelment time. And then, or if you're getting accountable mail, you have to like grab that and you got to grab your peach slip and you got to that kind of stuff. And then same thing goes there for the gather accountable mail / large parcel at vehicle. And it says fixed. That one I think is, I don't know. Actually, do you know the difference between those ones, Kristen?
I don't right offhand. That makes me want to go look it
I'm
up,
trying to-
though. Let me go.
Yeah,
Would
that
probably
one,
be in
I'm
the
trying
Rex
to remember.
Yeah, I
Comprehensive
don't know
Guide.
either.
Yeah.
Oh, I got logged out of the website.
Oh, because it's gonna be the same as your. Mine's the same as preliminary and concluding activities.
Okay.
So I'll keep going though for now.
Yes, absolutely. We'll
Oh,
find
it's
that.
per dismount. Yeah, variable is per parcel. Okay. Yeah, so fixed is per dismount and variable is how many parcels you're grabbing or accountable items. Yeah. All right. And then miscellaneous to door deliveries. So like this is if you're delivering like a tub of hold mail to the front door.
Anytime you,
got some-
use the door miscellaneous scan in your scan,
Yeah,
in the
and your
Rex.
RX scan. Yep. And then underneath of this, it says additional authorized dismount trip, and most of them I think will only say one, and then it'll say complex. So the complexity of it is it's based upon the footage of that dismount that you were at and how many times you entered it for those specific dismounts. Now, I wish that the 4241M broke it down by the specific dismounts, but it doesn't. And then underneath that's accountable mail signature item, deliver accountable mail / signature items. So that'll be based upon when you're scanning those, the certifieds, if you have registered or signature tracked stuff. We have some routes that get a bunch of HOA certifieds, and their numbers jump dramatically there. So carrier pickup and prepaid event. So that'll be based again upon that RXO scan for the carrier pickup and how many events you had for a day on average. And then underneath of that will be how many items you picked up based upon what you told the scanner you were picking up. And then underneath of that is carrier pickup manifest and item scanned full. So if you scanned a manifest, it will show there. Or if you're scanning the 5 and then underneath of that's carrier pickup manifest and item scan partial, and that'll be based upon if you only scanned a couple of them, I believe. And then underneath of that is accept or CODs insured parcels. So again, if you did that when you were doing the carrier pickup and you scan those in, it would show up there. And then deliver customs due, and that'll be based upon the you entering that scan and the RX scan for customs due and COD. And then same with postage due. As long as you're entering them in, then you'd be getting the credit there if you're attempting it or if you collected it. And then underneath of that is deviation for express delivery. Now, let's say that this isn't used as much, and I know it gets frowned upon a lot, but this is if you had to deviate because you weren't going to make your express by 6 p.m. Now, you'll get the actual time, and then also with that personal fatigue and delay, that gets tacked on with it too. But after they change the express times to be 6 p.m., this doesn't get used as much, but each office is different. And then underneath of that is miscellaneous activity time, and this is based upon the average of the 12 days that we did the mini mail survey.
If you have
And that is
qualifying
if you have
miscellaneous time. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And so I'll give Courtney a little bit of a talking break here. So how this
It's fun.
correlates, how these 3 pages correlate with the 4241A. Now, office time, which is that first section on your 4241A, is page 2 of your office volume of your 4241M. Your random letters are lines 1 plus 2. Your parcels are lines 20, 21, and 22. Random flats, line 3. Your accountable mail signature items, 23 and 24. Your WSS letters is line 5. WSS flats is line 6. Box holder letters, line 7. Box holder flats, line 8. And then your DPS letters, which is lines 9, 10, and 11. DPS flats we don't have to worry about. And then your CR flats is line 4, and your pull down is lines 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. Accountable mail signature items is lines 23 and 24. Carrier pickup forms, line 25. CODs customs due is lines 26, 27. Your postage dues, lines 28. Markups, line 29. Your 3982 PARS labels, line 30. Your office walk is lines 33 and 34. Your load time, lines 31 and 32. And your daily activities, lines 35, 36, 37, and 38. These are all added together. So if there's more than one line, those lines are added together to get that number that appears on your 4241A. Your route time, the next section down, is page 1. The first one we went over, the 4241M. Your route length comes from your DPM and LTM, regular boxes, DPM, LTM. In fact, that whole line across, that first section there, your route length, regular boxes, centralized boxes, total boxes, daily dismount distance, collection compartments, central CBU units, blue box collection, and inner office unit, high or low, come from your DPM and LTM. Your drive comes from line 1 of page 1. Your service comes from lines 2 through 18. Walk is line 19. Your TCPs, your traffic control points, lines 20 through 25. Fuel, line 26. Your vehicle stops is your DPM and your LTM again. Your drive speed is your DPM, your LTM, and your drive speed matrix. Your regular box coverage percentage is lines 2, 3, and 4. Central box coverage, lines 5, 6. And then your street volume time, which is page 3, the one we just went over. Verify mail, line 1. Reload, lines 2, 3, and 4. Registered and certified accepted, line 5. Money order applications, line 6. Contact roll reach, line 7. Stamp stock, line 8. Activity scans, lines 9 and 10. Parcels are lines 11 through 20. Accountable signature item, line 21. Carrier pickup items, lines 22 through 25. CODs customs due, lines 26, 27, 28. Postage due, line 29. Express deviation, line 30. And your miscellaneous time, line 31. That's how the 4241M coincides with the 4241A. And then, of course, your standards with your office street total, and which can be found if you're looking at the M, is page 2, which is behind this one. Sorry, I got too many pages behind me here. And you have your daily totals on page 1. Excuse me. Page 1 has your daily totals, and then your standard hours would be your weekly amount that you would see, and then, of course, all your personal information, your volume factor, and all that good stuff, withdrawal status, and whatnot.
Fun stuff, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so I was
Yeah.
comparing because I couldn't find the spring one, but I found the one from Fall Mini Mail Survey last year. So I'm looking at the 4241A from exactly a year ago, from the volume data range of 9/8/2023 to 9/6/2024, and just comparing to what the route has done in the past 52 weeks is really interesting. Parcels are down.
Yeah.
Verify mail is still the same. Reload went down. Where's my load time difference? Oh, my load time went up this time. My daily activities went up.
So yeah, I mean, looking at that, you can get an idea of what your route is doing. Now, where I'm going to get on this, especially with your DPM, your LTM, your edit books with your boxes. Now, I'm going to personal experience. I do have a dispute for my regular boxes. I've let it go in the past. It's been off by 2 from the last few that I have noticed. This time, I'm not going to let it go. I had an instance, and I don't remember if I talked about it since I've been back after National Convention or not. We did our route inspections. I did mine like the 6th of August, 5th or 6th, somewhere in there. I had turned my edit book in. When I came back from National Convention and I went to do my mapping, I noticed that none of my changes in my edit book were in my mapping. And grant you not, this is the end of August. This is the one that counts to make sure everything is correct in that mapping. I bring it up to my postmaster and I got the excuse of, well, I did your route inspection. I was going through your edit book at that time. So any changes I went ahead and put in. I said, that's not what I had turned my edit book in. My edit book was not done. I found my edit book where they're kept when the supervisor has them to enter them in. I opened it up. I had brand new edit sheets. Nothing was highlighted as being entered in. I had 4 new activations in there, I want to say. 3 or 4. I think it was 4 off the top of my bat. A lot of times people don't think about that. Oh, it's just a few minutes now at 1.2 minutes a box a week that we get for just the box itself. I'm not talking about the volume or anything like that, just the box credit. And she kind of wanted to argue with me about it. And I said, no. I said, we're coming at the end of the mini mail survey. Mapping needs to be done. Everything needs to be correct for me to get counted for these. She kind of blew me off a little bit at the time was saying, well, you probably won't like, the answer, blah, blah, blah. And so because of her response there, I did turn around and file a grievance and it has been settled and it has been rectified. My changes were entered in and I was able to redo my mapping on the 3rd of September. This is why. Springtime, I know back then I said I had lost an hour. I had lost about an hour and 20 minutes, roughly, honestly, but I had dropped from a 46 to a 45K. I have been doing nothing but working my tail off on this route, getting it to where it should be. So when I went in and I looked, and when I went and picked up my 4241A, and of course my box count's still off by 2, so I will dispute that. But when I looked at what my new standard hours were, I was like, all right, I went back up to a 46. That's all right. I then went and looked at what the standard hours changes were for each hour and where it started. Because my current standard hours starting October 4th is 54:39. 54:36 is the lowest you can be for a 46K. If my 4 boxes had not been put in like I demanded, and the reason why I filed the grievance to have that paper trail, I would have been 1 minute short of being a 46K. That is why it is important to make sure your edit books are complete every month. They're being submitted every month, and your mapping is done every month with you, the carrier, sitting there with whoever your mapping facilitator is, whether it's a member of management, it's a carrier, it's a clerk, whoever was trained to be a mapping facilitator, you need to be present each time that mapping is done to verify, because something is that simple as think, well, that's just 4 boxes. That's just a few minutes. That few minutes, those 3-4 minutes could be the difference between going up or going down if you are that close. And mine right there is proof of that. That is why it is important every month that it is done. And especially when you're coming on the tail end of a mini mail survey and you know that last mapping, in this case, November 5th was the cutoff at the end of the mini mail survey, that is done and it is accurate, because that is what's going to be recorded on for your next evaluation.
So every month when your edit book comes back at some point in the first day or two, take a couple minutes and flip through it to make 1, changes that you requested the previous month done, and 2, nothing didn't change that you didn't want to change.
Correct. And making sure that your other boxes are proper, your sidewalk boxes, if you are one of the few routes that has sidewalk boxes, that your curbside boxes are labeled correctly, that your distance
your dismount distance, if you have any, is correct.
Just in the edit book itself, not necessarily with the mapping yet, but
Yes.
also that an active box can inadvertently get deactivated
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you go
or
through.
vice versa.
You know, I try throughout the month when I get my edit book back after I've turned it in and it's been done and I look at it, I try to get new edit sheets every couple months or so depending on how many changes I've had. If I've had a ton of changes, I'll usually request new edit sheets so I can start fresh. And it's easier for me, it's easier for whoever's entering the changes in.
Well, I know AMS here, they replace the sheets every month.
Yeah, but you have AMS
Yeah.
available on site. I do not.
Right.
So therefore, my changes are in red are then highlighted, by usually it's the supervisor or the 204B or whoever's doing them.
But that is why it's important. And then when the mapping is supposed to be done every month, that you are present for that mapping. Even if you don't have any changes that month, still be present for your mapping, especially for the LTM. Because that's when stop signs and stop lights and because your breadcrumbs are going to show you, your stoplights just you get lucky and they're green all the time when you're coming through, they may fall off. Or you get traffic backups or construction and you stop and then it's going to flag you saying, "Oh, do you have a no, I don't have a TCP right here." That's why it's important to do that even if you don't have changes that month and making sure that your points are still correct, that they didn't move, and that especially your TCPs haven't fallen off, or something tricky, funny went on in there. I mean, I get an error every month on my TCPs because I have railroad tracks that I go over one direction, and then when I come back that road, I go over them again, and then just past the railroad tracks, I have a stop sign.
Yep, I do
So
too.
it flags me every month because of that. Is this correct? Yes, this is correct. And if you
I
have
go over
if
10
you
railroad
have
crossings.
specific traffic control points, stop signs, stoplights that you are going through numerous times, watch it during the LTM. Because if it's not stopping that second or third time, you need to put those in on that section yet again. Now, if it's already pointed and you're going through it again and it stops and asks, do you have one there? Yes, you have one there. If it just keeps going and you know there's one there and you have to stop again, then you need to put that back in.
I have one intersection I go through twice in the same direction just because of the way my route work runs. So I have it at the early part and then at the end of the route when I'm coming back in. So it needs to show those two, the times that I'm crossing that intersection with that stop sign
Mm-hmm.
or traffic light, rather.
And don't let management tell you, nope, you put it in there once, that's all you need to do. No, it's for every direction. If it's not flagging you coming through the multiple times that you may go through that one specific one, and it only does it the first time, but it's not doing the second or third time, you need to put them back in there. Don't let management tell you, oh, you already did it once, you don't need to do it again. That's BS. If it's not flagging it to say, do you keep this or not keep this, you need to pause it and put it in there again.
Yeah, and the other thing that with us going through all of this, I know it's a information overload, and a majority of it, I try and go through it and look, and I kind of tried to point out a couple of the things that you do have control over things. You don't necessarily have control over the mail volume, but you do have control over making sure that your mapping's done correctly and being adamant about making sure that your route is correctly evaluated. If I know there's people that get really frustrated with RX, but we each have to the best of our ability, maintain the route. I know that there's, you want to make sure that each route is evaluated as correctly as possible. So if you do see any of the issues, or you notice that something went wrong in the mapping, or management went in there without you, contact your steward. But the NRLCA did release that they're doing the dispute process again, and I mean, even if it's some of the disputes may only be a couple minutes, but in our new contract, we are now grow as you go, and you don't need an hour for the next base hour change. So even if that dispute doesn't necessarily move you up to the next base hour, but it moves you closer, and let's say that you have a little bit of growth and it gets activated, that might be what sets you over. So
Yep.
Minutes, every single little minute and second adds up, and just we should all just be thorough and verifying our stuff. I know we're role carriers and we want to beat the evaluation and get home and enjoy the rest of our day if we can. I know that's not the case for everybody, but we still need to do some maintenance and making sure. And you can look at this stuff on return to DU time. It's part of the route maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
and same even if RX and I really hope that there are some subs and RCAs that are listening to this and PTFs, because once you go regular, I mean, you're gonna see the in-depthness of this, and if you're already familiarizing yourself with this, it'll be good when the time comes that you go regular. We had an aux route that was taken years. It was 5 minutes away from becoming a full size route, and then the first RX evaluation came, and it dropped it to a 25 aux, and
Ooh.
they spent all the time building it back up, and it finally became a 43H last or it was like, when was it? A year ago now? I don't remember. Anyways, but that route actually just finally jumped now up all the way to a K. And
Good for them.
yeah, finally and I'm just like, it's bigger than some other routes in the office finally, and it actually like got its redemption. My office, most of us went down because the mail volume's down, but that route finally jumped up where it's supposed to be. But he, over the years, like I've been like, hey, look at this information on the UNA website. This is why the RX scans are important. And he's taken that time and educated himself and made sure he was updating that edit book along the way, and that his mapping was correct. And he sat down and he went through the whole mapping with management, and it shows now, like it's corrected and that it's evaluated correctly, I think. But it's just important to thoroughly go through your stuff.
And
Well-
I kind of had sorry about that, Josh, but my former sub just went regular as of the 20th. So he's got his new evaluation, great you not. It had been since February. There had been a brand new sub on that route, and then there was a newer regular for almost 2 months until he bid off on to the H route. And then my former sub went regular on the big route, and it dropped to a 47K from a 48. And he's like, well, I can get that back up. And I looked at him and I just kind of shook my head. And I had to explain to him what how a 47 and a 48 are interim evaluations considered overburdened. It's not on a list to be cut anytime soon. It is still considered a seasonal route for the most part. And I told him, I said, don't worry about that too much. I know you just took a tiny little bit, pay cut from it dropping for an hour after, your first pay period as a regular. But I said, don't worry about that too much, but, keep track of this, this, and this, and this. He also came to me. He was telling me he's doing mail, he's cleaning up the route. He's cleaning up the boxes, trying to figure out who's living there and whatnot. He's like, I know I put a vacant card in this box back in July because I dated it when he was covering it for the sub. Well, my sub now, who was holding down that route at the time, had a day off, so he went ahead and did that because he knew that box was vacant. And he goes, and there was all this mail stacked on top of it and all this stuff. And I just looked at it and I said, now you know why I got after you about stuff. and because when I train RCAs as an OJI, and especially if I'm training them on my route, I'm training them to pay attention to that stuff. Pay attention to the rec scans. Pay attention to, there's a vacant card in there for a reason. Now, if there's a flag up and they fill it out, bring it back. We'll start delivering it. But, it's all that little stuff. And he's like, oh, yeah, no,
that I said, this is why I got after you. I wanted to prepare you guys for when you become regular, you're already in the habit and you're already paying attention. You're already doing stuff correctly to help the route that you're running. And now you're seeing it in the mirror. Now it's coming back to smack you in the face and going, oh, yeah, I guess I should have paid attention. RCA, leave replacements in general. Pay attention. If you've got somebody that's on you about something that you're doing out on the route, whether it's your scans, please do the scans, or, delivering to vacant boxes. There's a reason for it. And, someday you're going to go regular, and now you're the one having to keep track of it all. And it all comes down to what your salary is going to be. But you know what? These route evaluations are how you're paid now. If you're one of those, if you're one of those lucky leave replacements that's not going over 40 hours a week and going into overtime, that route evaluation is your pay. I was trained to take care of a route as if it was my own from the very beginning. And that's how I try to train these RCAs that I train when they come in, is treat every route that you run like it's your own. I did that from the very beginning. Yes, every regular has their own way of doing it. And when you're covering different routes and you're route hopping and they do things different ways, it kind of really helps, and you get a little bit more respect if you pay attention to how that regular does it, because then that's going to think of ideas of when it's your time to go regular on what's going to work for you. We do that when we're training in general anyways. It's, steal with pride. Ask, you see somebody doing something and hey, would this help me out? You take those parts, and as you become an experienced leave replacement and now it's your turn to go regular, you can hop onto that route and you already know what you're doing and you already know what you're looking for and you already know what you're going after.
And you already know what works for you.
Exactly.
As regular, when you first start as my sub, I'm going to show you what works for me. And I'm going to tell you, like I said, deal with pride.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, if you see someone doing something that's going to make your life easier, or you think it's going to make your life easier, run with that idea and work and use it. If you try it and it doesn't work out, no harm, no foul. If you find that it works out and it makes your life easier and gets you through that part of whatever you're doing in the day, great. Oh, sorry about that. What I was going to say earlier, I know they put out the information about disputes already. As you said, they're doing the disputes again.
Mm-hmm.
I have not looked to see it yet. Did they put out when they need to be
October
done by?
24th. I actually
And that
have
is
already
actually
printed it out.
Okay.
I have it right here. On the new dispute forms, down on the bottom, it does say, note the above information to be completed by the carrier and installation header designee. This form and appropriate documentation are to be forwarded to District Manager Labor Relations and the NRLC District Rep no later than October 24th, 2025. Electronic submissions are acceptable.
Okay, which means they have to actually have it in their hand on October 24th, not postmarked.
Correct.
I was just letting everyone know, all the listeners, to bear it so they know.
All right. And again, I'll go over the dispute process again real quick. The parties agreed the carriers may dispute the following: an entry of 0 or a questionable number in any data field on the PS Form 4241A that would otherwise expect to have a time credit. An obvious error in any of the following data fields on the PS Form 4241A: route length, regular, centralized, or total boxes, daily dismounts, daily dismount distance, collection compartments, traffic control points, daily activities, miscellaneous time, and office walk distance. Those are what you can dispute. To initiate a dispute, the assigned carrier and local management representative will complete Evaluation Dispute Form 1. While completing the form, the parties at the local level shall discuss the data fields in dispute, and should they agree that an appropriate credit has not been provided, they will annotate the form accordingly. Upon completion, the form with all relevant documents will be forwarded to the manager, labor relations at the district, and the NRLCA district representative. The form must be submitted no later than October 24th, 2025. That's for the local level. The designated representatives at the district level will annotate the dispute on the rural route evaluation dispute log and assign a district control number before meeting with the NRLCA district representative. District teams will thoroughly review all relevant factors that affect the credit provided on the 4241A data field in dispute, including any notations of agreements made by the local parties. The team will either agree to a resolution,
agree no action will be taken, or will impasse the dispute and complete the top portion of the evaluation dispute form 2, providing an explanation for the final decision within 30 days of receipt at the district level. If they're not able to reach an agreement at the district level, the evaluation dispute form 1 and 2 and all supporting documentation will be forwarded to the area director labor relations or their designee and the NRLCA designated representative. The area team will jointly complete a review of the file. The area team will either agree to a resolution, agree to no action will be taken, or will impasse the dispute and complete the bottom of portion of the evaluation dispute form 2. If the dispute remains unresolved after the area review, each team member will provide a written recommendation for resolution to accompany the file. A copy of the file will be forwarded to the Director of Contract Administration, NRLC, and the NRLCA Director of Labor Relations or their designee within 21 calendar days of the receipt at the area level. Headquarters team will jointly review the file and either will agree to the resolution, agree no action will be taken, or will impasse the dispute. The team's decision will be in writing and provided to the RREDP team at the area level for further dissemination. The parties agree that if an impasse is reached, the dispute will be referred to step 4 as an interpretive issue. So that is disputing, and just remember, if you have more than one dispute, you must fill out more than one form. Each dispute will have its own form and will need supporting documentation.
Woot woot.
Yes, we got through it.
Woohoo!
yay! So yes, I have my dispute form. I already printed it out because I am disputing the shy of 2 boxes because on my LTM from 9.5 it said I have 714 curbside and my 4241A says I have 712. And I've let it slide too long and now I'm disputing it because my evaluation is just 3 minutes above being a 46.
Yeah. I got to go through and look at these numbers and figure out what's disputable myself because, like I was telling someone else, at this rate of loss in the spring survey, I potentially could come back as a 46K and I won't have to worry about getting cut.
Right. Also, those routes that
Obviously,
had any
something is
type of
somewhere.
adjustments, whether it was adding territory, removing territory, if you were cut, if you were added onto, if you had any type of
Or just
territory,
squaring up.
yes, or even the optimization crap. And it
Well,
changed
not
your
the optimization.
no, the squaring up. So yes,
Not the optimization, but just squaring up.
yes, if you move territory from one route to another in any capacity, whether you created an aux route off of an overburden route being cut, if you squared up the routes and you removed so many here from this route and put it to this route, and this route had boxes moved to this route, and so on and so forth. If you had any territory adjustment whatsoever prior to this mini mail survey, you will be frozen for 52 weeks and you will not get the data printouts because they zero you out and start back over.
And there's not 52 weeks of data to show you 100% accuracy of what your 52-week average is. Now that may change if technology, the NRLCA and the USPS can adjust that if there's different technology and different equations and you got math to figure that out, but it's the case for now. But those people that are frozen, I know somebody asked, how can I test the health or check the health of my route? Make sure you're doing the mapping. Make sure you got that printout from LTM that shows everything and that it's correct.
You can
And that it's the same as
your end of run reports, your radar reports.
Yeah.
You can track everything on those. You can get a PTR report and track it that way. I keep track, and I know our scan totals at the end when you go into 2 and hit 2 and then up to see, that's everything that you've scanned that day. I don't do load truck, so mine is not doubled. But that's your package. Anything that you scan, package pickup, certifieds, deliveries, everything in there. I keep track of my scans because that at least I put those on my calendar that's at my case each day. That at least gives me an idea. I can see a pattern because majority of those are packages that I delivered. So it kind of gives me a pattern on my scans on how many I've had for the day. So I know it's not 100% accurate, but it allows me to see a pattern.
Right. And I look at it, I don't jot it down unless I'm, sharing it with a friend and say, hey, I had this many scans today.
It's just good to verify it just so that just so you're double checking. And it's just another, I always try and think of, like I said earlier, the things that you can control with RX. And because I know some people just feel like these moments are like you're out of control, and it's just focus on the things that you can control and the actions that you can do to make sure that your route's evaluated correctly.
Exactly. And edit books and your mapping are important. Your mapping is so, so, so important. And if your management is doing it without you there, well, there's a form for that, and you know who to contact. Because
we covered that last week.
we've covered that so many times.
So, but I think that's about it for that.
I agree.
And if you have questions or anything about it, feel free to email us or comment or anything. Discord,
Discord, yeah. If you leave a comment on Spotify,
reach out to one of these two young.
I get notified of those right away. The other platforms I do not, and I have to go dig them out. So I apologize. I don't see those. Spotify I do see right away, since that's who we use to upload to. But email, I get the emails. I check that daily. The direct messaging on the Facebook page is still turned off at this point in time. Life's crazy for a bunch of us. So until we build up on the back end a little bit.
I can tell you Facebook Messenger is being wonky now anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I sent my wife a message yesterday that I'm on my way home when I was done work, and it was 4:30 this afternoon that she finally received it.
Yeah, so I have the private messages turned off on the Facebook page still. I think Instagram ones still come through, but I don't get as many of those. I do get notified when they do, so bear with me. I think we're going to talk about this off air a little bit, but I think we might record an episode later this week to upload for next week. So it will at least have maybe only 1 week we don't have something going on. I'm not quite sure yet. We'll see what we can do before I leave. I am departing. I'm fleeing the country Sunday night, so I kind of had to say that to my boss the other day. It was kind of funny. I was like, "Hey, let's get this done," because I was doing my DPM and LTM for this month, and I have case labels I want to get up before the end of the week. And I was like, I got so much on my plate before I flee the country. She just looked at me and laughed. So yeah, I will be going on vacation. I think we're going to try and pre-record an episode, and I'll schedule it to upload so I don't have to worry about it while I'm on the other side of the world. And the following week, I don't know. We'll see what's going on. If we can get 1 or 2 knocked out, you may have a week off. We'll keep you posted. But other than that, you got any final words tonight, Josh?
I'd say, like Kristen said, reach out, whatever way you want to reach out. I would strongly recommend reaching out to these two young ladies and not me, because I'm going to have to refer to them to get an answer for your question anyway, because this is not my forte. It's still doing what it's doing out there. So hydrate, be safe, bundle up if need be. Don't get overwhelmed. If you do, take a step back, take a deep breath, and step back in. Have a good week. Yeah.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you, Kristen, for letting me get that out of my head. I needed to do that. I
No,
was like,
no,
oh, this-
it's cool because I was thinking about it too because I was like going through it and then I was seeing all the social media posts about 4241As and M's and people are clueless and then you messaged me saying, "Hey, we should talk about this." And I was like, and I was thinking the same thing. So yeah, let's do it.
yeah, yeah. I've seen a lot of it. Um, I hope that the RX gods were at least nice to many of you. And like I was saying earlier, try and make sure that you're focusing on the bits that you can control. And EAP is out there for you too if you need to just talk to somebody. I know sometimes this kind of gets a little bit overwhelming for people. But I was also going to say tomorrow is Josh's birthday. So happy birthday, Josh.
Happy
Early.
birthday,
Why, thank
Josh.
you.
So the day that the day
It's
that
also
most
my-
of you are listening is Josh's birthday.
So you
And
can
it's also one of my absolute favoriteest of holidays to celebrate.
National
Coffee
Coffee.
Day.
But well, I hope that you drink coffee tomorrow, which
Oh,
you
I
probably
will.
will. But I hope everybody has a great week, and if we don't end up recording, safe travels for Kristen, and I hope that everybody out there at least makes it home safe and try and have a good week, everybody. So, Kristen?
Thank you guys. Yeah, I just got to get through this week. I've got a lot on my plate between little man getting final packing done, organized, running my route. I got case labels to put up before I leave. Yeah, I'm going to get this dispute stuff taken care of this week, hopefully, though I don't have to worry about it when I get back. And then I will fly off on a jet plane to New York on Saturday. And then Sunday night, we take off to hop the pond to Italy. So I will, when we arrive in Italy at 2:30 p.m. Rome time, and it'll still be Eastern time will be 8:30 p.m. So I will 8:30 a.m. Sorry, gosh, you can tell I'm tired.
Yep.
We leave at 12:30 a.m. Eastern time, so it'll be roughly 8:30 a.m. Eastern time when we arrive. I'll let you guys know we got there safely. So, just because I'm
Sweet.
like that. And who knows, you may see a bunch of pictures in Discord and in the Facebook group. Who knows, we're having fun. We're going to the Coliseum on next Wednesday. What is that, the 8th? And then on Thursday, we'll depart Rome to go to Naples. And then on Friday, the 10th, we are hopping a ferry over to the island of Capri for the day. And yeah, that's really all we have planned at the moment. So the rest of it is whatever we decide we want to do. I still want to try and fit Pompeii in there. So
Wing it out there.
yeah, we are. It's just a vacation. We scheduled the stuff we had to schedule. The rest of it, we're just going to wing it. If I can get to Pompeii, that would be so cool because my archaeologist side of me just wants to go. I've always been fascinated with that type of stuff. And so we'll see if I make it there or not. And Rome is just, I'm going to be walking a lot. I'm kind of wondering if I should take more than one day off when I get back. But
It wouldn't hurt.
it wouldn't because I'll probably be hurting. But on that note, guys, what was that, Josh?
I was going to say, I know I've learned over time, no matter how long you actually take off, you really need 1.5 of that.
Oh yeah, at least.
If you take a day, you need a day and a half. You take a week, you need a week and a half. You take a month and a half.
I don't have enough leave for a week and a half,
But-
so.
Oh, I know.
But no,
I'm just
we
saying
will.
that you need that extra half time to recoup.
Oh, I know. I plan on sleeping all day Wednesday after I get home Tuesday evening. So, but on that note, guys, stay safe this week. Stay vigilant. Stay hydrated. I don't care what season of the year it is. Stay hydrated. That is important year round in general. Stay hydrated. Just file your disputes if you need to. Contact your stewards if you need to. The drill. To watch out for yourself. Watch out for your fellow carriers if you can. Pound it into your leave replacements' heads that they need to pay attention to this stuff too, and it's their pay as well. All that good stuff. But on that note, guys, we are going to be out for tonight, and I'll keep you posted if we're going to have any pre-recorded stuff scheduled to go out so you're not quite missing us for 2 full weeks. But take care, everybody, and have a good week.